Okay, so today we are going to look at the theory of price determination. The theory of price determination is a theory in microeconomics. It explains the forces behind the price of goods and services, or the determinants of demand and supply of goods and services in a country. It basically operates in the private sector because the government has no influence on the general price level or the consumption level of goods and services. So I said, it's a theory in economics that explains the determinants of the cost of goods sold in the market. It explains the entire forces of demand and supply, or components such as the demand, components such as the supply, such as elasticity are studied under this concept or under this theory. So the most important things we need to see are the concept of demand, the concept of supply, and the concept of elasticity. Now let's start with demand. What is demand? In economics, there are three considerations made before giving this definition. They said demand is the quantity of goods and services that consumers are willing and able to buy at a particular price and at a particular time. So it has to do with the willingness of the consumer, and it has to do with the ability for the consumer to buy the product, and also it has to do with the time, because as time goes by, the prices of goods and services are not the same. So what are the types of demand? We have complementary demand. Complementary demand, like the word implies, complement means a product that is demanded because it cannot operate on its own. So they are complementary. For example, a phone and a SIM card. So if the demand for phone will automatically lead to the increase in the demand for SIM card. Then we have substitute demand. Substitute demands are demand for products that have similar functions or similar purposes. An increase in the demand for, or an increase in the price for one will lead to an increase in the demand for other. For example, Pepsi and Coca-Cola, they are examples of substitute goods. An increase in the price of Pepsi will obviously lead to an increase in the demand for Coca-Cola, because there is a law which we will state before the end of this lesson talking about the behavior of consumers, that consumers are only willing to buy at a lower price than at a higher price. Then we have composite demand. Composite demand is when a product is demanded for many reasons. A single product taking over, demanded because of many purposes. Then we have derived demand. This is when a product is demanded because of a particular situation or because of a particular condition. Then we go to what they call factors influencing demand. Factors influencing demand are the conditions that will lead to either an increase in the demand for a product or a fall in the demand for that product. So the first factor is the consumer disposable income. What is consumer disposable income? Consumer disposable income is the amount of money left in the hands of consumers after the deduction of taxes. So from their salary, when they pay their taxes, the amount they go back home with is what is called disposable income. Now, if the disposable income in the hands of the consumers or of the employees, if it is high, their demand for goods and services will be high. But if the income is low, their demand for goods and services will fall. Second, we have changes in taste and fashion. Of course, we know consumers, they have taste and they have fashions, they have what they want. If the taste for a particular product changes, automatically the demand for that product will fall. But if they have high taste for that product, the demand for that product will increase. For example, the demand for iPhone or Apple phones. Now, consumers have high taste in using that category of phone. Then we have change in the prices of substitute goods. I gave an example of Coca-Cola and Pepsi. An increase in the price of Pepsi automatically will lead to an increase in the price of, will lead to an increase in the quantity demanded for Coca-Cola, because these are two products that can serve the same purpose. So when the price of one increases, it has given room for the increase in the quantity of the other one. And the one whose price has increased, their demand will fall. Then we have consumers' expectation of future price changes. Now, consumers' behavior when it comes to this, they are trying to anticipate that if a product is $5 today, tomorrow the product may be $3. So they will restrain their demand for that product today to expect to buy more tomorrow. So the expectation of future price changes will influence the quantity demanded by consumers. Then lastly, the price of the product. Of course, it is paramount. When the price goes up, the quantity falls. When the price falls, the quantity demanded increases. So we'll go to normal demand curve. There are two types of demand curve. The abnormal demand curve and the abnormal demand curves. Normal demand curves are curves that respect the law of demand, which states that consumers are only willing to buy at a lower price than at a higher price. But abnormal demand curves don't respect that law, because abnormal demand curve mostly deals with prestigious products. For prestigious goods, the more the price goes up, the more the quantity demanded goes up, because these are products that are consumed for prestige. So a normal demand curve slopes from left to right. It's very normal for them. Like you can see here on the diagram, you see this is the original price of the product. For example, this is Fanta, or let's say it's Mirinda. So this is the demand for Mirinda. This is the original price. Let's say this is $5. And because of one or two situations, the price for Mirinda dropped from $5 to $3. You see the increase in quantity from Mirinda increases or extended from cure to cure 1, which is this movement, the movement from here. There's an increase in the demand for Mirinda. But maybe in one or two situations, the price of Mirinda increased to $7. You see the quantity demanded for Mirinda dropped from cure to cure 2. So the price influences the movement or the change in quantity demanded. There's a difference between the change in demand and the change in quantity demanded. So here, it's showing that the price has influenced change in quantity demanded from cure to cure 1, and also change in quantity demanded from cure to cure 2, which is cure to cure 1 is extension, which is an increase in demand. Cure to cure 2 is contraction. Okay, so but when you talk about change in quantity demanded, is the shift of the demand curve from its original position to an entirely new one. This is caused by factors like seasonal changes. It's caused by factors like seasonal changes, like population density. For example, let's take seasonal changes. If this is the demand for, let's say, raincoat, okay, and the price is constant, the price is 500. The price doesn't change. What changes is maybe the season. So on 500, during winter, there will be a movement of the demand curve from cure to an entirely new one, which is, let me say, cure 1. Why? Because the season supports the demand for raincoat. So there will be an increase in the demand for raincoat in the same price. Then if it is, there will be an increase in the demand for raincoat because it is winter. If it is summer, the demand for raincoat will fall from cure to cure 2, which is the movement from A to B. Why? Because the season doesn't favor the demand for raincoat. So we'll end here. The next class will look at the supply.